Thank you, and thank you to my colleagues. If I might, given the focus a number of my colleagues have provided on Mr. Dellinger and his background and his service, I thought I'd take just a moment and share with some of the other members of this committee why I am so enthusiastic about his nomination. If I might briefly, and I know I'm delaying my colleague, Senator Tillerson, Senator Blumenthal, we all need to go to the floor for a vote. But in reviewing what you've done in the decades since we were law students together, I was struck by two in particular letters in support of your nomination to lead the Office of Legal Policy, one from a group of faith leaders, one from a group of law enforcement leaders. 24 faith leaders who've known you for decades said throughout his career, Hampton's advocated for just causes and operated with care and concern for his fellow human beings, displaying the kind of compassion, humility, integrity we should demand for our public servants. They go on to say the country will benefit greatly from your generosity of spirit, something I think I look forward to seeing on display in your leadership role in the Department of Justice, and a much larger group of law enforcement leaders, dozens of law enforcement leaders, talk about the high level of rigor and seriousness you will bring to the position, and that you have demonstrated in their service alongside you, that you understand the challenges faced by law enforcement officers and officials and take those concerns into account when developing policy. Was there anything else you wanted to say, Mr. Dellinger, before I conclude about your experience advising the governor about the role you will have in terms of forming legal policy? And was there anything else you wanted to speak to before I conclude and we all move on to a vote?
Well, thank you, Senator Coons. And it doesn't seem like it was that long ago that we were classmates together. I remember I couldn't get a date, and now I've got a 21-year-old youngest child. I do think it's important for you to know, and for all the senators to know, that I recognize the role that I've been nominated for. It is not my think tank. It's the Attorney General's think tank. It's not my policies. It's the Attorney General's policies, the Justice Department's leadership. There's also an important rulemaking function that I would take very seriously, and I think the rigor and detail one needs to try to succeed as a litigator, which is a very rule-bound profession, is the type of rigor I would try to bring to the rulemaking function. And finally, with regard to the judicial nomination process, I was proud of the role I played in North Carolina, vetting judges on occasion, trying to bring a potential nominee to the governor's attention. One of the judges I'm most proudest of is Al Diaz, who had served in the military courts as a judge, a defense attorney, and a prosecutor in the JAG Corps. And he was a first in North Carolina. He was the first Hispanic judge named to the Superior Court. But I also would say to the media, who would never quote this part, he was the best. He was the best qualified judge that I saw in terms of professional qualifications, and has had a distinguished career. So, and my overriding focus was on integrity. Does a potential nominee have personal integrity, show integrity in the workplace, but above all, show integrity to the rule of law? And that would be absolutely my North Star, which is this potential nominee, does he have the integrity to understand and acknowledge the Constitution, the binding precedents of the Supreme Court? I certainly would. And again, I understand the difference between being a private citizen, at times maybe saying things quickly or inartfully, the professionalism one needs as a practicing attorney, and then what's different about being in a law enforcement organization. And it's not just something I can talk about theoretically. I've been in a law enforcement organization as Deputy Attorney General in North Carolina. I recognize you have to have an overriding focus on independence, on being apolitical, being nonpartisan, and working with career employees and officials in both parties. And if fortunate enough to be confirmed, that's exactly what I would do.
Thank you, Mr. Dellinger. I, for one, believe that Attorney General Garland and our president will be well served by your advice. I look forward to supporting your nomination. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thanks, Senator Coons. Senator Tiller.